Why you should get pre-approved for a mortgage. That's what we're going to talk about in this video. A little bit of a switch up from what I've been putting on my channel lately, but I thought it would be a good idea to do sort of like a home buying 101 series and just talk about some of the basics. And the topic of today's video is why you should get pre-approved for a mortgage. There's a few obvious reasons. Number one is it's going to make it a lot simpler and easier for you to know exactly what your budget is. You can mess around on the affordability calculators and different mortgage calculators. You can look at what your payment's going to be based at different interest rates, but that doesn't actually tell you what you'll be pre-approved for. Just because you think you can afford a $1,500 a month payment doesn't mean that the banks will look at it that way when they run your debt service ratios. So probably the number one reason is just to find out what your budget is. Once you've gotten pre-approved for a mortgage, you're going to find out, you know, is your max purchase price $350,000? Is it $400,000, $500,000, whatever it is? And that could save you a lot of time, wasted time potentially looking at properties that you can't even afford that are out of your price range. Now, there's also a difference between a pre-qualification and a pre-approval. I recommend getting a pre-approval. Sometimes when you just walk into your bank, they'll do a pre-qualification for you where they're just going to ask you about your income, any debt payments and stuff like that. And it's just almost like a verbal conversation where they do some quick math and they spit out a number and tell you, okay, yeah, you can probably afford up to this or whatever. That's not a pre-approval. A pre-approval is when you've actually submitted documentation that proves your income and proves basically everything about your application. They check your credit and they've actually run a pre-approval on you. So you're pre-approved, you have a dollar amount and everything, probably a rate hold, that type of thing. So make sure if you're gonna get pre-approved that it's actually a pre-approval, not just a pre-qualification. A pre-approval is much more effective. I've seen it dozens of times where people have thought they've gotten a pre-approval, but they actually just got pre-qualified from their bank. Their bank didn't collect their income statements or verify their income or anything like that. Or maybe there were some other debts that they didn't think about and they hadn't actually provided proof of everything. Or maybe their credit was bad and they never even checked it. So there's different things like that that can actually screw up your application and you wouldn't know if you didn't do a full pre-approval. One of the other benefits of getting a pre-approval is you can get a rate hold that you can hold for, I think it's up to 120 days with some lenders, where if you're getting a fixed rate mortgage, they can hold a rate at a certain interest rate. And then that way you've kind of got that locked in. So even if the rates go up during that time, if you purchase a home at any point during that time, you can still get that interest rate that you had held essentially. Now that really played a big role for people last year. If they had gotten a pre-approval earlier in the year, they were able to take advantage of lower interest rates, even though interest rates started going up. Whereas the people that never got their pre-approval and they were just kind of waiting until they found the house that they wanted, that type of thing, those people usually ended up getting more expensive interest rates and sometimes got a little bit of sticker shock because they were looking at rates earlier, then they were looking for a home, they found a home, then they decide they want to get serious, and now interest rates have gone up like 0.5% or 1% in that time. So that's one of the benefits of getting a pre-approval. Now, obviously at this point when I'm recording this video, the aggressive interest rate hikes might finally be coming to an end, but obviously depending on when you're watching this, it could be a completely different scenario. So that's one of the benefits of getting a pre-approval. Also, if you're working with a realtor, most realtors are going to require you to have a pre-approval before they're going to seriously go out there and start showing you homes. I don't like to show clients homes unless they've got a pre-approval, and because that way I actually know we're looking at homes in the price range that work for them. And then we're also not wasting the time of sellers. It's a resale home, they've got their home on the market, they get the home ready for you and everything for your showing, and then later on you find out you can't afford that house. You've kind of wasted everyone's time. So it is important to have a pre-approval from that perspective as well. It's not just about not wasting your own time, it's also making sure you're not wasting your realtor's time, seller's time, a whole bunch of other people's time. So to keep that in mind as well, makes the process a lot easier and will give you a lot more confidence too. That way there's no doubt, and if you find the house that you actually want, you're going to be able to jump on it and take action right away. If you go out and look at a house, sometimes it catches you by surprise. You're not super serious yet. You're not in any big rush. If you come across a home that you really like, you just want it now kind of thing, if you haven't gotten your pre-approval, now you're going to be scrambling trying to put it together so that you can still purchase that property. And if there's other competing buyers or if there's multiple offers, you don't stand a chance. If the market's hot and there's multiple people that want to write an offer on it, I can guarantee you if that seller is working with a good agent, that seller's agent is going to be checking with each one of the buyers that gives them an offer and checking to see if they have a pre-approval. They're going to ask for proof of that pre-approval. At least that's what I do when I'm working with sellers. So keep that in mind as well. It makes you ready, willing, and able to take action if that perfect property pops up. Now you can actually write an offer. Whereas if you don't have your pre-approval, again, I don't like writing offers for clients if they don't have their pre-approval, because then again, we could be wasting the seller's time, tying up the property, or even at the very least, just making it a lot more stressful for you as the buyer, because now you're scrambling to get all this documentation that they need to get your application approved instead of just getting that property approved for financing. So you never want to set it up that way. You want to be ready and willing and able to get going, and that requires having your pre-approval. Now, I mentioned this a little bit, but one of the things that you can get when you get your pre-approval is an actual pre-approval letter. And that's something that you're going to want to show to your realtor to show that you're pre-approved. I ask all my clients to provide me with a copy of their pre-approval letter as part of my onboarding process, but you can also provide that with an offer if you're competing with other offers to help show that you're able to move forward with this property and it's in your price range. Okay, so now in terms of where you could go to get your pre-approval, the two main options is you could either go into your bank. That's often the comfortable thing for people. You go into the bank that you've already got a relationship with, or you can go through a mortgage broker. I recommend going through a mortgage broker because you're going to get a lot more options. Whereas if you just go into a TD Bank or Scotiabank or CIBC or Royal Bank, whatever bank you bank with, they're only going to offer you their products. And while you might feel like they have a great relationship with you, you've been banking with them for a long time, I can tell you they're not looking after your best interests. They're looking after their best interests. Whereas a mortgage broker, just like a realtor, they have a fiduciary responsibility to you. So they're going to be shopping the market for you to try to find the best mortgage product for you, the best interest rate, best terms, all that type of stuff. And it's also not just about the best interest rate. Sometimes people shop just for the best interest rate, but there's a lot of other factors to think about as well, including like some of the terms that go along with that mortgage. I won't get into that too much right now, but that's something that you can discuss with a mortgage broker on whether it's sort of like a full featured mortgage that gives you some options and flexibility, or if it's something that kind of nails you down. That's something to keep in mind as well. And the big banks, they typically are going to have bigger early payout penalties if you exit your mortgage early. So they're usually a little bit less flexible. So while it may be easier to just go into your bank and get a pre-approval with the bank that you're already comfortable with, oftentimes you're going to get a better mortgage product going through a mortgage broker, because then they have access to monoline lenders that are different than the big banks in Canada. The other thing that the pre-approval is going to do for you is just give you a lot of confidence. Once you have that pre-approval, it's amazing how much confidence it's going to give you. It's going to remove so much of that uncertainty and doubt that's often present when you're looking at buying a home. Buying a home is already stressful enough. It's a very life-changing event. You're trying to figure out what you should buy. There's a lot of lifestyle changes that come with that. And if you've got the uncertainty of not knowing if you can even get a mortgage or for how much, that's going to eat away at you. So I've been told by countless clients, after I've gotten them in touch with a mortgage broker and gotten them pre-approved, helped them work through that financial piece to find out what they can really do, it just takes so much stress off of you and makes the whole process smoother from there. And a lot of times it's really hard to make your plans for buying if you don't have that pre-approval. Even if you're not even ready to buy yet, like if you're 6 months or 12 months away from being able to purchase, a lot of people are still using those calculators and they're trying to figure out and they're thinking about all this stuff, what type of price they want, what type of home they want. You can engage a mortgage broker early and you can start having that conversation with them, potentially run a full pre-approval and find out some of these things way in advance, even if you're not ready yet. Maybe you'll end up being ready earlier than you initially thought. Or maybe there's going to be some issues that come up when you try to get pre-approved that are going to take some time to resolve. Like if you've got some credit issues that you were unaware of, that takes time to fix. Even if it was a mistake that somebody else made and it's not something you did, that stuff takes time to fix. So keep that in mind as well. If you wait until the last minute to get your pre-approval when you actually want to buy a home and then there's a problem with your credit or there's something on there that's not supposed to be there, something like that, that could end up delaying your plans to buy a home. Whereas if you had looked at it early, 6 months ago, a year ago, and if there was an issue with that, you could catch it. It gives you time to resolve it. And then that way it's not going to actually mess up your plans. And also you're going to find out if there's any issues with the way your income is set up. Like if you're self-employed, it works a little bit differently versus if you have a full-time job and you've been in that position for a while. So a lot of these things are things that you'll want to discuss with a mortgage broker. Just because you make a certain amount of money doesn't mean that all of your income will necessarily qualify towards financing. So there's a lot of different factors there, and it's just going to overall take a lot of stress off of you. It's going to give you more confidence. It's going to make it easier for you to take action on a property when you find the right one, and save you and a whole bunch of other people a whole lot of time. So if I haven't convinced you that you should get pre-approved by now, then I don't know, maybe there's no hope for that, but I did my best. I think I covered most of the things there. Let me know what your questions are below in the comments. I hope you got value out of this video. I'm looking at doing a bit of a series here, like home buying 101. So let me know what other topics about home buying you think you might want to learn more about. And if you're looking at buying or selling a home in the Edmonton area, I'd love to help you with that. And actually the best way that you can get started is you can go to booktrevornow.com and you can select a time on my calendar and set up a free strategy call. You can ask me anything you want, even if you're 6 months to a year away from being ready to buy. Perhaps you want to know what mortgage broker you should go with. I can give you a referral. I can answer a lot of your questions around that, even though I'm not a mortgage broker. I can give you a little bit more details as well. That half hour that you book with me, it's free to ask me whatever you want. I just want to help you out. And if you end up becoming a client in the future, that's great. But if not, that's okay too. I just want to help you out, and maybe we'll work together in the future. So if you go to booktrevornow.com, you can select a time on my calendar and set up one of those free real estate strategy calls. So that's it for this video. I hope you got value. If you click over here, you can subscribe. And if you click over here, you can watch another video. All right, thanks so much for watching. I'll see you on the next one.